Not exactly seclusion, but lived alone in an old house and had a creepy stay. Again, the house was old, a huge house built in 1915 and converted into apartments for WWI soldiers before they went overseas. I rented one apartment, about 1,000 square feet by itself, and the rest of the house was empty rooms and a giant staircase. As soon as I moved in, I met the next door neighbor, Rebecca, who, about 30 seconds into the conversation, asked me if I knew the house was haunted. I laughed it off, but she insisted it wasn't safe. Wasn't worried, moved in, cleaned out a lot of junk, and fixed the place up as well as I could. Over the next few months, Rebecca and I ran into each other here and there, and each time she added to the story. Apparently there was an old lady who lived in the apartment before me, who never left, never opened the windows, and never cleaned. She died in the apartment, and there was an estate sale to get rid of some of her stuff. Rebecca told me during the estate sale she had gone into the basement and regretted it. About a week later, I decided to go check out the basement, I think partly to prove to myself I wasn't concerned. I was also curious. I'm not superstitious and I don't believe in ghosts, but the occult is interesting to me. As soon as I stepped in the basement, I was creeped out. It smelled musty, but not like I've ever smelled before. Along the steps there were burned down candles that made bluish-gray wax puddles. The basement itself had 2 huge water heater tanks, also covered in wax, and an empty concrete floor behind the tanks that had nasty-looking towels around and more candles. Bizarre but not haunted. At this point I've lived in the apartment by myself for about 3 months, without any problem. My car got broken into one night, but that wasn't surprising given the neighborhood. Nothing strange had happened until the night I checked the basement. At 4 a.m. I bolted awake because I heard something in my room. This was odd for me because I sleep like a dead man. Sat in bed for a minute, heard nothing, and went back to sleep. Around 6 a.m., I had a night terror. Heard the noise again and woke up, but this time had sleep paralysis. I saw a black figure walk in my room and stop just inside the doorway. At this point, I think it's a robber, and I start trying to ask what he wants, but I can't speak or move. Nothing like this had ever happened to me before, and I was terrified. After the longest 2 to 3 minutes of my life, I willed myself out of sleep, and the whole atmosphere changed. No one was there, nothing was out of place, no locks were broken, nothing. I quickly got ready and showed up at work, 2 hours before it opened. Over the next few weeks, I would hear the sound again here and there. It was a scratching and thumping sound, always very early in the morning. As soon as I would wake up, it would stop. Then one morning, it was especially loud. Still dark outside, 5 a.m., I heard it just behind the headboard of my bed. This time, I made sure I was totally awake. I laid perfectly still and didn't even breathe, and I heard it again now, fully awake. There was definitely something in my room. After the sleep paralysis Josh imaginary robber episode, I had bought a kid's baseball bat and set it next to my bed for self-defense. Can't afford a gun. I picked up the bat and slid out of bed. Every minute or so I would hear the rusting, scratching, thumping noise. It was in my closet. I stood outside the door and my heart was pounding at this point. All the stories of the place being haunted, the creepy basement, the sleep paralysis episode, the weird early morning noises, all of it had built up in my mind and led to this moment. I was about to do battle with some evil force. I threw the door open and swung into the darkness, hitting nothing. I beat my clothes like a madman, but there was nothing in there. Then I heard a little scurry on the floor and saw something jump into one of my shoes. Upon closer inspection, I went outside later and found a hole in the roof. There was a family of squirrels living in my ceiling that was very active in the early morning.